Let's feel the arms settling open and the muscles of the back adjusting until we're extremely comfortable laying down. Once the muscles are comfortable, it's easy for the lungs and for the breath to really start to flow very nicely. Allowing this deep breath to flow. Beginning almost like a little internal meditation. Allowing everything that arises today to be part of our journey. Allowing every sound to be like a little gift. It's like an internal mirror, but it's showing up outside of us. Allowing every feeling that goes through our system to be part of our experience today. And today we're focusing largely on our hip area. Imagining the hips are like our junk drawer. The junk drawer at our house is that drawer where we put everything that we don't really know what to do with. We don't know how to organize it otherwise. And so it goes in our junk drawer. And our hips oftentimes are the junk drawer for the emotions and the energy that flows through us that we don't know what to do with. And so today, as we start stretching through our hips, sometimes different crazy emotions will start to come up. And so when that happens, be happy, because that's a chance for that emotion to start to process when maybe we didn't know what to do with it before. It's a chance for it not to be stuck cluttering up our junk drawer. So breathe through it, feel it, be with it. That's our big mantra for today. And so with that awareness, that goal to dive deep into our hips, especially, well, of course, including other spots of our body, with that to help lead us into our beautiful practice together today, let's begin. Our right knee will start to come into the chest. Hug hands around the knee. And start to play around with this knee for a few moments. So sometimes we're going to let the knee go wider. Or sometimes pull it directly into the shoulder. Or you could even cross the knee partway over the body. So you can find stillness if any of these spots feel amazing. You could be constantly rocking around all three areas. But just notice how each spot gets us into a very different muscle group. New things speaking to us. Deep breath flowing through it. And maybe find the best of those three spots for your body today. Let's pause there for a little bit longer. Allowing this right leg to straighten up to sky. Reclasp the hand behind the thigh. Let's begin a little journey through this half of the thigh. So perhaps you're working on motion, kind of rocking around with the leg straight. Perhaps you're working on the hamstrings, really trying to straighten the leg as much as possible. Or maybe you're noticing other tight spots. Maybe we're holding junk clear down in the ankle or in the toes. Maybe just gentle movements will loosen some of that out. Another good inhale. And then exhale, this right ankle will work its way onto left thigh. Some of us may be at a spot with this right hip where the left foot should just stay planted on the floor, and then our right hand pushes that right knee open, swiveling open right into the hip. Some of us might be at a spot with that hip where we're comfortable spreading our hands around that left shin or the left thigh. So it's not a competition. This is you listening to the right hip and inviting your body to join into a beautiful hip opener. That first big one for this right hip today. Notice how the more easeful the breath is, the more the muscles are willing to just relax into this placement. How this hip is easing. Let's take 2 more breaths. Good. After that second breath, uncross the ankle. Allow both knees to drop, both feet to drop down to the floor. And then the knees tilt over to the left. An easy spinal twist. Allow arms to spread open. Feel that right hip relaxing. If you feel like the breath was much more constricted a moment ago, feel yourself easing that breath deeper. So I'm going to add a few optional poses to build up from this shape on. Know that you don't have to take any of them. If you're feeling amazing just staying in this easy spinal twist, stay. If you'd like to take the first step toward cat chasing its tail, what we do from here is straighten the top leg, the right leg, off to this left side. You'll notice as it starts to straighten, it pulls the hip and maybe even your IT band into the stretch as well. I personally love to have the left hand holding onto the back side of the thigh or the calf or the toes. But sometimes pulling the leg that high up feels really intense and it's preferable to back off, lowering the angle quite significantly. So know that you don't have to force anything. And you don't even have to be in this shape if you prefer to return back to the normal stacked knee position. So this is an okay spot, again, to stay. If anybody wants the full cat chasing its tail, the last step that we need to do is use our free right hand and grab onto those bottom toes. So right hand to left foot. The grip is behind our back. The shoulder tries to return back open to the floor as much as possible. It'll probably be a little lifted. But the big thing that would have added is that left quadricep stretch. So if you don't feel that, pull the knee down, pointing it more toward base of mat. Again, you don't have to do any of these. You could return back to simple stacked knees if you prefer. So wherever we find ourselves at this moment, let's try to take 3 more deep, full belly breaths. After those 3 deep belly breaths, we're going to roll over onto the left side body. It might be nice for that left hand to hold up the head. If you prefer the head to drop down, just resting on upper arm, that's okay too. And from this position, we try to grab our right hand into the right foot behind our back. So it's a quadricep stretch again. Now it's the other leg than we were stretching before. Some of us are unable to reach that. So if that's the case, simply bring that foot, that right ankle to the front of that left thigh, similar to the triangle that we set up before. The quadricep stretch feels awesome. Let's take a few more good deep breaths. One more inhale. Exhale. As we return our spine onto the floor, we're going to readjust the grip. So it's still going to be right hand toward right foot. This time it's to half puppy baby. So the foot swivels up to the space in front of us, foot stacking over knee. Occasionally people can't reach all the way to foot, so grabbing shin is also absolutely acceptable. The idea is pulling that hip open, nice and wide. If motion feels best here, you could swivel this hip around, even straightening and bending the leg. If stillness feels better, settle into a beautiful spot. Take one more deep inhale. With our exhale, release that right leg entirely. Drop it to the floor. Find ourselves back in a mini Shavasana. This position of open surrender on the ground. And notice what feelings we have going on in our system right now. Sometimes our emotions come up so unexpectedly that we think that it's us. We identify with it. What if it's just something that was in our body that now we've loosened up? It's not anything about this present moment. It was just stuck. Now we've breathed and loosened it up. Take one more deep inhale. Good exhale. And we'll begin playing with the second side. Left knee starts to come inward. Let's hug around that knee. We've got 3 angles more or less to play with. You could go wide. You could go directly knee to shoulder, or you could kind of cross over the body. or an opposite shoulder. So maybe you're kind of rocking the hip out at first. Sometimes motion is extremely helpful to allow some of the energy to loosen its way up. Other times your body just knows, ooh, that's the spot to stay. So that's okay too. We allow room for all of it. Inhale, release that exhale. And the leg works its way upward a bit more. Perhaps we change our grip to that side of thigh. And notice what's in our junk drawer here. Maybe it's our ankle that needs to kind of roll its way around. Maybe we need to work into the hamstring, so that's less of a bully for our hip. Maybe kind of rocking motion, kind of like we were playing with earlier, could be the easiest, best thing to help relax some of the deep tissue here. Nothing strenuous, but definite listening. Listening to our body, listening to our emotions, noticing emotions. Maybe we never really live with our emotions. So from here, we'll begin to take that left ankle to the right thigh. You can always drop the right foot to the ground and just press this knee open. If it's feeling good for all of the time or part of the time to do that clasp around this right thigh or shin, feel free to make your way into that positioning. Occasionally I have a day where suddenly I realize, oh, I'm actually not really in a stretch anymore. I've been here for a while and I didn't realize that the stretch left. So if that's your experience, you could pull the leg in another millimeter, just to bring you right back into the depth of that experience. Perhaps by diving into the deep spots, we can come to know our soul a little bit better. Notice your willingness to be with this experience. Some of us come to yoga classes and we try to keep checking out. It's like it's uncomfortable to be with the body, to be with the energy, to be with the emotions. So just notice when there's no judgments if that's what's happening. But notice today, how much am I willing to be present with this? Taking one more inhale. And exhale here. Let's drop our feet down to the floor. The knees take an easy twist all the way open to the right side this time. Upper body stretches open, arms to each direction. This is the place we could choose to just stay or even return to if we get tired. If you'd like to play with cat chasing its tail, maybe your top leg starts to straighten its way off to that right side. The left leg extending a bit straighter. It could be at any angle. You could join the right arm in or not. It's all up to you. Staying here is an option, returning is an option. If you want to take left hand to those right toes behind your back, maybe you choose that variation. Again, don't force it. The quality of restorative yoga is never forceful. It's only presence, tuning in and asking your body, what can I do to help you today? Maybe we ignore our body a lot, ignore our emotions. So today, at least for this time together, we return over and over again, letting the ego be the servant for this moment rather than the master. Beautiful breath flowing in. Relaxing exhale out. And then we let our knees stack. We roll over onto the right side body. And we see if that left hand is able to grab onto the left foot behind our back. If that's not happening, you could always return to left ankle at the right thigh, a triangle shape. But if this quad stretch is willing to be part of our experience today, give it a couple more breaths. One more good inhale. Exhale. And we're going to gradually make our way up to a seated place. So as you release, perhaps you take this fetal position for another breath or two, maybe even letting the head drop down. I lied. We have a half happy baby to go with first, and then we'll make our way up. So continue to roll onto your back. Left hand to left foot or shin. Got that last pose to bring us to good balance. Notice what wants to come up energetically for this half. Sometimes it's the same, sometimes each half is a very different story. One more deep inhale. Exhale. So the release, you could release immediately back into fetal position, or you could release for a mini shavasana. Whatever feels helpful, let's take a breath or two. Notice the contrast between this position of relaxation versus that kind of wound up posture that we were just in. Give us that time, that chance to be present with something just came up. Good, so let's take another deep inhale. Exhale. Either from a fetal position or from laying down, let's work our way up. We'll travel immediately into cobbler's pose. Bottoms of feet are together. It's up to you today. Are the feet further forward or are the feet closer? Maybe you play around with either option. I personally love to tilt forward, helping to deepen the experience. But if you rather have hands supporting you from behind, that is okay also. See how much space you can create in the shoulder blade area, letting shoulder blades fall away from one another. Take an easy time rolling our spine back up. Once it's up, pick up the knees, joining the thighs together, and then hug around the shins, clasping fingers or clasping wrists. From there, push the shoulder blades away from each other behind you, purposely rounding the spine into the letter C. So that spot in between shoulder blades, creating extra space. Head especially dropping down. With such a deep stretch, we don't want to rush right out of it. The muscles of our back don't like to just go into such depth and then immediately jump out. So it's going to be a slow journey, maybe just lifting the head up. Starting to straighten the spine, releasing the clasp. Eventually we'll end up in an easy cross-leg shape. So from here, let's clasp our hands together behind our back if possible. Let the shoulder blades squeeze together. This should pull the front part of the shoulders into a stretch. So Sometimes I'll even lift the chin up a little bit. It's not a requirement if it doesn't feel so good. Good, releasing. Let's take the right hand to the floor on the right. Left hand circles up and over. Feel the shoulder blade, creating space. This could be another spot of motion if you want to play with that shoulder blade area. Or it could be a good spot of stillness if you're working on feeling the stretch through the side ribs, the intercostals. Easy rise to come up through the center. And then same thing to the second side. Left hand planted, right hand reaches. Movement of stillness. We've got 2 more breaths. And rise. And then taking both legs out wide in front of us. You absolutely could keep the knees bent. Hands on the floor, inching your way forward. If it feels better to straighten the legs, that is an option, but don't force things again. This is whatever your body will easily do. Creating a place of breath, a place of meditation internally. Again, support your spine through the return journey up. Once we're here, let's swivel our legs underneath us, coming to kneel. When we're on hands and knees, our right toes are going to slide to the back of the mat and then cross over to the left. Even coming off the mat to that left side. Once the toes are there, push your hip to the right as you gaze over your shoulder toward that crossed leg. A moment for the hip and the IT band. The spine back to the center, and then slide the straight leg off to the right side of your body. Once you've got the leg there, you've got some options. Option 1, just stay right here. Option 2, lower down to elbows. And option 3, lower down and also slide the right leg as far off to the right as you can, setting up almost like a frog pose. So it's only if that feels restful, not too stressful. Ease our way up, coming to hands. Let's slide back in and drop the right knee down. Left leg straightens to back of mat, and then crosses over to the right. Gaze over your right shoulder to look at that foot. That should be helping you to push the hips to the left, the opposite side of where you're gazing. Good. Return the spine. And the left foot works its way to the left. Perhaps stay, perhaps lower to elbows. Maybe slide. It's all personal preference. Let's start to return up. Once we're back to hands and knees, let's drop down onto our bellies. So bring the arms out in front of you so that the hands can stack. That'll create a nice pillow for your forehead. And as we're here, the first thing we're going to do is a tree pose. So let your right knee swivel open to the right. The foot can come up to the calf or knee or maybe part of the thigh. That right knee swiveling open. And then just relax into it. Notice how if you try to get the foot really high, it lifts the hip off the ground. So that just teaches you about your femur bone. That's how much rotation, how much the knee needs to go forward if we were to stand in a tree pose. So just gaining some awareness about our body. If head's ever more comfortable to tilt to one side, that's also fine. Transitioning from this tree pose to that right knee scooting as high up toward right shoulder as possible. Almost like a half frog. Much more gentle than before. Notice if there's new things popping up in your emotions as we get to the new muscle groups. This could be the spot where you stay. You want to let the leg try to open out to the side. You can either take your right hand around the thigh and then let the leg try to straighten out, or you can grab right hand to the foot and then let the leg straighten out. Again, this floor helping us to press the hips open just by us being here. Let's slide this leg all the way back, joining the other. Second side tree pose. The left knee rotates open. Place the foot on the calf, the knee, or the thigh. If the hip immediately wants to kind of resist against opening, and then see if you can relax into it anyways, regardless. Maybe you stay, maybe that left knee starts to scoot closer to the left shoulder. It's not a requirement, but if you want to try straightening the leg out to the side, either hook the left arm around the thigh or left hand grabs those left toes. And you try to allow it to lengthen to the side. Releasing the leg, slide it back. We'll head to child's pose, any variation. So knees could be wide, knees could be narrow, arms could be forward, arms could be tucked back. It's all up to you and your hips. And rising up, transition to a seated posture. We're going to try to see if our right leg, if we can plant that foot to the outside of the left thigh. Sometimes our hips won't let that happen, so if that's the case, just keep it on the inside. But if it will cross over, we'll take a spinal twist from that tight internal hip rotation. So our left hand or our left elbow hooks around the right knee, and then the other hand comes behind us to help that spine spiral over. The outer hip, the IT band, getting a good stretch. Good. Returning forward, we focus on external rotation now of the bottom leg. So this top leg has a couple of options. Option one, swivel around the inside of the knee touching down, and then just with hand on the floor, lean toward that left knee. Or option two, if anybody wants to do full pigeon, you can send the leg all the way back behind you, and then make sure to pick up the hips to be nice and level with that sacrum behind you. So either way, we're leaning toward that left leg, the left shin, lowering downward as much as feels comfortable. Inhale, exhale. If the hips are lifted, rock back onto left hip. Swing the right leg back forward, and we'll switch it out. Now right leg's on the bottom. Left foot maybe has to stay on the inside, or if you can, cross it to the outside of the thigh, go for it. From there, it'll be right hand or right elbow hooking around that left knee. The other hand comes behind. It's a nice spinal twist. And returning forward, leave the right leg. Left leg swings around, maybe just setting the inside of the knee down, toes behind you, lean forward to right knee. Or if you want to take the full pigeon, continue to send the leg back, pick up the hips, sacrum is even. Think of our different emotions as toddlers, as little children in preschool. And imagine if there were emotions that you've always suppressed. Every time it comes up, you just shove it into the closet. Imagine that's what you did to a little preschooler. That preschooler doesn't really have the ability to mature because it doesn't have any love, any experience, any attention. Imagine instead if you gave every emotion that wants to come up just a little bit of attention. Imagine how that emotion is then able to transform. Energy is not created, not destroyed, but it can be transformed. So what if that stuff in our junk drawer really is energy that doesn't want to be sucking life out of you? It wants to be helping fuel your passions and your creativity. But we have to give it time to transform first. Let's take one more inhale here. Nice exhale. And working our way up onto hands. Come back to sit. One more stretch for each side. We're going to cradle our right leg out. Sometimes I'll use a hand on the foot and the knee. Sometimes I'll work it to the forearm or to the elbow. It's not a competition. However deep it can go, try to straighten your spine up. Try to lift the toes up a little bit more. And then take a couple of easy rocks for this hip. You're getting into good spots. You can stay a bit longer. Whenever you're ready to drop this leg down, you'll drop it in one of three options. Cross leg is easiest. The hips are wider. Next option would be right leg shin stack. Third option, right leg knee stack. That's the deepest for the hips. Whatever option you take, you do want both sitting bones to comfortably be down on the floor. From there, just find the floor, find the ground. Take an easy last chance to lean forward, getting into hips, glutes, IT bands, whatever our tight stuff is, this tends to get right into it. Remember, breathe with your emotions, whatever wants to come up. It's all allowed. We give permission for all of it. One more deep inhale. Exhale. And rising up. This right leg gets to relax. Last time to cradle out this left side. Find whatever depth will work, and then try to straighten the spine. Try to lift the toes a little, and then rock it out. Keep going if it needs more. You're ready. Drop it to cross leg, shin stack, or knee stack. One more time, start to ease your way forward. More breaths of presence. As we start to ease our way up, if we're ready for Shavasana, choose the shape that will be comfortable to lay down for the next couple of minutes. If there's last movements your body needs prior, that's okay too. Nothing wrong with that. This is us being with our body, with our present experience. Shavasana tends to be laying flat on your back, but if you need any variations to make your body comfortable, that's okay. If you want to do legs up the wall, that's fine. If you want to keep your feet planted, that's fine. Whatever would be comfortable for you. We take the Shavasana as this time to integrate all levels of our practice today: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. All that you have to do is just breathe, and that integration naturally happens. Deep inhales, long relaxed exhales. Here we begin to deepen our inhales. Deepen our exhales. Introduce little movements back to fingers and toes, ankles and wrists. Stretching it out like you're waking up first thing in the morning. Perhaps eventually find a nice fetal position off to one side. Enjoying a few bonus breaths just to be right here. Maybe 3, 4, 5. Just feel your body in this integrated, deeper aware, deeper present state. Eventually we can rise up to a comfortable seated position. No rush if you know to take another breath or two first. As we arise, sooner or later, we'll take hands together in front of our heart and feel how much lighter our hips, our junk drawer is. Things have definitely been processed, shifted, transformed. And so as we go forward, we realize by us letting ourselves be present with some of those hard things when they're ready to come up, it gives us space and energy to transform it toward amazing, passionate, creative things instead. And in that way, our life is able to be much more meaningful. We can make a powerful impact on the world by meeting ourselves first. So with this inspiration to lead us on, let's wrap up the time we shared together today. Namaste.